Alright, welcome to another painting tutorial. In this one we're going to look at the High Elf Loremaster of Hoeth. So this is the model all finished, and here's the paint scheme that I used for it. Those pictures will be on my blog. You can check the link in the description below. So here's base coat of gray spray paint, just gray primer on there, and starting off with Ironbreaker. So I'm not using Lead Belcher as my base coat because the silver is going to be a bit brighter, and because it's High Elves. So painting that on, I like to start with the metallics first because they tend to get on other things and it's easier to touch them up this way after. Okay, XV8, that's going to be the base color for my non-metallic gold. You can check out a tutorial I have on that if you're interested in more information about how to do non-metallic gold quickly and easily for your guys. Okay, so I'm just painting that on all the areas that are eventually going to be gold. Next we're doing Kaldor Sky. So this is for the blue areas, which include the cloak, some of the details on the trim there, and the hair and things like that. So this is kind of the highlight color I have on my High Elves. So I have a very standard High Elf army in terms of colors. So blues and gray, white, and silver and gold is your basic color scheme. Okay, then we have Stegodon Scale Green. That's going to be for the that magic ball of whatever it is on his hand. The magic missile, I guess it is. Mephiston Red for some of the gemstones, and the hilt of the sword there. And that's about it. You can see a bit of the blue and the gray on the cloak. Rhinox Hide going on any of the leather bits and necklace type stuff. So that's just the base coat for anything that's going to be leather. Okay, then we go with Dawnstone for any of the grays. If you've seen any of my other High Elf ones, you might notice that I've gone up a gray tone for the base coats. I found that the Mechanist Standard Gray was just a bit too dark to highlight up to white. Just took too many extra steps, so this is kind of making it a bit simpler here. And it's almost the same color as my primer, so I'm really just kind of touching up this color for any of the blue areas and things like that. Cadian Fleshtone for the skin, so which is basically just the face, a little bit of his neck and his hands. See all the exposed skin on this model. And that's the base coats all done. So now we're on to the washes, starting off with Newland Oil for any of the gray and silver areas, which is the armor there. And I think I did it on the gray bits for the cloak. Yeah, I do. Okay, next up we're going to do Agrax Earthshade for any of the there we are, any of the gold bits. Actually, you know what? I didn't use the Newland Oil on the gray, just on the edges of things. Okay, so Agrax Earthshade's going on all of the gold, non-metallic stuff, and just sort of around the edges to give it a bit more of a depth to it. Drakenhof Nightshade for anything blue, which is basically the cloak and the hair and stuff like that. And I'm just going and doing all of these washes one right after the other. So some of them are still wet when I'm putting the next one on. That doesn't matter if it bleeds a little bit. Not a big deal. Okay, and Reichland Fleshshade for any of the skin areas. And there we are already. So now we're starting on the highlights, and that's Runefang Steel and all the silver bits. And at this point, basically, you're going from the darkest of everything after you have the washes on, and just try to bring up all the highlights up to a nice high level. So the model looks quite dull and dark after you've done the washes, but then each of these steps here just kind of brings out the colors. Administratum Grey, bringing up those the highlights on the cloak and stuff. So there's actually very little white on the model, even though the cloak looks whitish. Only use the white on the very edge highlights of things. Techless Blue for the highlighting the first layer on the blue areas. And of course on the cloaks, you're going to try to blend that as much as you can. So a couple thin coats just to help blend the folds on the cloak there is the ideal way to do it. Of course, you can just do it your straight paints out of the bottle, um, but that won't make it as smooth looking. Okay, now I'm doing Balor Brown for the non-metallic gold, so trying to get the edges of things and some tonal variation there just to give the non-metallic metal look. And again, I did a tutorial showing the Phoenix Guard's head with the non-metallics. It just gives you a much better idea of how the process that I use to do this. So my whole High Elf army has non-metallic gold and regular metallic silver. Zamizi Desert for the next layer highlight on the gold bits here. And this one here is really what brings out the goldish color because it's like a nice bright yellowish brown. Mephiston Grey for the gray highlights. And again, trying to blend this a little bit on the folds on the cloak, just to give you an idea that they're nice smooth transitions. Lothran Blue for the next layer on the blue here. So just trying to get the very edges of things and bring out just the point highlights on stuff. Overbrushing some of the hair there. Sotek Green for the that magic ball again. And what I'm going to try to do with the later layers of highlighting here is give a bit of like a textured look to that ball, so it looks like it's kind of has some sort of internal glowing. And here we go with Temple Guard Blue, and that's where I'm going to try to get some of this. There we go. So just trying to do some random patterns on there, just to give a little bit of idea that this is kind of an orb of some sort. Blue Horror, this is one of those edge paints, and just trying to pick up on any of the brightest edges on things. Balor Brown for the highlighting all the things that I did with Rhinox Hide. I don't really do too much of the leather highlights here, just kind of a minimal amount, just to give it a bit of depth. Okay, Cadian Fleshtone now. We're going on to the highlights for the flesh. And nothing too fancy here. Trying to work around the fingers on that magic missile ball or whatever it is. And then Kislev Flesh for the highlights there. Final highlights. White Scar, I'm going to do up some of the edge highlighting on, well, I'm doing the dots on those gemstones. I don't really show any of the red here, sorry about that. And that's just about it. So here's the finished images of this guy. You can check these out as well as the painting guide on my blog. It's the same basic paint guide as the rest of my High Elves, so nothing too fancy there. And be sure to check out my other videos, like, share, do all that sort of stuff with this, and that'll help spread the word and make more of these. See you next time.